Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. The moment she dropped that little white napkin onto her plate, I knew something was off. There was a smirk on her face. Not the sweet kind I used to love when we shared late-night cereal and whispered about nothing. No, this one was sharp, like a blade dipped in sugar. Her friends were already giggling, phones tilted just enough to catch my reaction. I could tell. I always could. I just pretended I didn't. On that napkin, in her favorite lipstick, were 4 words. "It's over, you bore." The laughter around the table exploded like a bad sitcom. One of her friends actually choked on her wine. Another pointed and said, "OMG, he looks like he's going to cry." I was. But not for the reason they thought. Clara had done a lot of questionable things. She flirted openly, forgot anniversaries, rolled her eyes when I spoke about anything not involving her. But this was new. This wasn't passive-aggressive. This was a performance. They called it a prank. A breakup prank. Something about a trending challenge online. Test your man's loyalty by pretending to dump him and record the meltdown. Meltdown? I didn't have one. I sat there and blinked, like a toddler who dropped his ice cream. She wanted drama. I gave her silence. And in that silence, I started planning. Not a scream. Not a fight. Just paperwork. You see, while she was busy counting likes and collecting fire emojis on her video, I was collecting every receipt she'd ever left on the counter. Literal and emotional. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I was done. Fully done. And for the first time in a long time, that felt good. 3 days later, she got exactly what she never expected. A server, a cafe, her mocha latte, and a sealed envelope with her name on it. Right in front of the same friends who laughed at that napkin. She didn't laugh this time. She looked up, saw who arranged it, and started trembling. I still don't know what hurt more, the fact that she did it, or the fact that she did it so easily. That stupid video racked up over 40,000 views in 2 days. Her friend Jenna even posted a follow-up calling me stone-faced Harlan. People commented stuff like, "He looks dead inside," "El Mayo," and "Where's the rage?" Did she marry a houseplant? I wanted to scream at them. I wanted to tell them that I used to be warm, that I used to be someone who laughed at the dumbest puns and cried over Pixar movies. But years with Clara turned me into wallpaper. That morning after the prank, she kissed me on the cheek like nothing happened. Like my humiliation was some quirky bonding moment. She even asked me if I could pick up more almond milk on my way home from work. I nodded. I didn't say a word. I hadn't said much since that night. But while I stood in line at the store, holding that almond milk, I was also holding the contact card of a lawyer I hadn't spoken to in years. His name was Lionel, an old friend of my late uncle. Specialized in quiet exits. No theatrics. No screaming matches. Just precision. I emailed him that night with a single subject line. "I'm ready." Over the next 48 hours, I moved like a ghost. I gathered documents, took photos of shared assets, found copies of messages she'd sent to a guy named Trevor. Yes, Trevor, who apparently accidentally sent her a shirtless photo. She claimed it was a mistake, that he was like a brother. Right. If brothers send you heart emojis at midnight. I stayed silent through all of it. No confrontation. No drama. I made her think the prank was forgotten. She even joked 2 nights later. "You're not still sulking about the napkin thing, are you?" I smiled. I actually smiled. And that, I think, is what made her feel safe again. Then came Sunday. She was meeting her friends at an outdoor cafe, someplace called Finch and Fig. I made sure it was that day. That spot. Her usual table by the planter wall. I waited until they ordered their overpriced lattes and started laughing again, probably about me. And then a man in a crisp navy suit walked up with a discreet brown envelope. "Clara Hastings?" he asked. She smiled, probably thinking it was some giveaway. "That's me." The moment her fingers touched the envelope and she read the top page, "Petition for dissolution of marriage," her whole face dropped. She looked up, and when she saw me watching from across the street, she didn't wave. She didn't yell. She started trembling, and I just turned and walked away. I didn't even look back until I turned the corner. And when I finally did, I could still see her through the cafe's glass panels, frozen, holding that envelope like it might explode. Her friends leaned in close, confused at first. Jenna pointed at the page. One of the others gasped. Then, like synchronized swimmers, they all looked up, scanning the street for me. But I was already gone. I didn't run. I didn't need to. I'd already done everything I needed to do. It was the first time in years I felt something that wasn't dull or embarrassing. It wasn't victory either. It was something quieter. Maybe freedom? No, not yet. But it was on the way. By the time I got home, I had 6 unread texts from Clara. The first one said, "What is this?" The next few spiraled from, "Are you serious?" to "This isn't funny, Harlan," and then "Call me now." I didn't respond. I just fed Milo, warmed up leftover casserole, and queued up a documentary about shipwrecks. I needed something ancient and ruined to make me feel less broken myself. At around 10 p.m., the doorbell rang. I knew it would. She always had a key, but she knocked when she was trying to appear innocent. I opened it slowly, just enough to see her standing there, eyes wide and glossy. She had smeared makeup and a crumpled copy of the divorce packet in her hand. "You're really doing this?" she asked. Her voice cracked like she'd been screaming. Maybe she had. I didn't speak right away. I just stepped aside and let her in. Not because I was forgiving her. I wasn't. I just wanted to see what lies she'd come up with when she had to face me without an audience. She stormed into the living room like it was still hers, tossed the papers on the couch, and turned to me with arms crossed. "You seriously blindsided me. In front of everyone. That's cruel, Harlan." I almost laughed. Almost. I didn't. I just said, "Was it as cruel as filming me while fake ending our marriage to get more likes?" She blinked. That's all. No apology. No remorse. Just that blink, followed by a sharp inhale, and "That was a joke. What you did. That was calculated. It was betrayal." That word, betrayal, coming from her? It almost made me sick. "You turned me into content, Clara," I said. "Now I'm just finishing the episode." She stood there, speechless. For once, she had nothing clever to say. I watched her shoulders drop, her mask slipping just enough for me to see something behind it. Maybe fear, maybe regret, but I didn't care anymore. When she finally left, she slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frames on the wall. But I didn't flinch. I just sat down, pressed play on the documentary, and let the sound of waves and wreckage drown out the last of her noise. The thing no one tells you is that even when you're the one who walks away, you still carry the weight. That night, after she left, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, counting the turns of the ceiling fan like it might hypnotize me into feeling strong. But I wasn't. I was second-guessing every step, replaying her face at the cafe, her eyes at the door, the way she used the word betrayal, like she had the moral high ground. And the worst part? A tiny part of me still wanted her to beg. Not to fix things. That ship had sunk long before the prank. But I guess I wanted some validation that I mattered. That I wasn't just a background character in her curated life. The next day, Clara didn't text. She posted. A story went up on her social media, some pastel-colored quote. "Growth means letting go, even if it hurts." Followed by a boomerang of her clinking glasses with Jenna. My divorce papers weren't even dry, and she was toasting to freedom. The caption said, "New chapters dizzy #independent woman." I shouldn't have looked, but I did. And the comments rolled in like waves. "Yes, queen, you deserve happiness. Always knew you were too good for him. You glowed up nail polish fire." One even said, "Wait, is this the guy from the prank vid?" That one hit hardest. It wasn't enough that she turned our marriage into a punchline. Now she was turning my silence into weakness. And I hated that it was working. That people who didn't know me were cheering for her and calling me dull, robotic, soft. But I was soft. I knew that. I wasn't confrontational, I wasn't flashy, and apparently, I wasn't enough. That night, Lionel called. The lawyer. He told me Clara hadn't responded to the petition yet, but had requested a mediation meeting for closure. I told him no. I didn't need closure. I had receipts. He advised me to at least hear what she wanted. So, against my better judgment, I agreed. One meeting. One room. No cameras. No hashtags. We met in a gray office 2 days later. Just her, me, and a mediator who looked like he regretted his career choice. Clara showed up in a tight blazer, hair too perfect for someone grieving a marriage. She barely looked at me. When she finally spoke, her voice had the same performative tone I remembered from the prank video. "I just don't understand why you had to humiliate me like that, Harlan," she said. I smiled, but not kindly. "You wanted views. I gave you closure." Her mouth twitched. "You know I never meant to actually hurt you." And maybe that was true. Maybe she didn't set out to hurt me. But she did. Repeatedly. Quietly. And always with an audience. I thought maybe, just maybe, She'd show up to that mediation with something real, something small, even a flicker of humility. But Clara didn't walk in like someone whose marriage had just collapsed. She walked in like she was at a press conference. Perfect posture, painted nails, a sleek folder under her arm like she'd prepared a TED Talk instead of a conversation with the man she once said she wanted to grow old with. "I just want to clear the air," she said, like we were ex-colleagues, not ex-lovers. The mediator nodded, inviting her to speak first. She launched into this long-winded speech about mutual communication breakdown and different paths, and how she hoped we could remain amicable for the sake of peace. It was all so sanitized I could have sworn she stole it from a divorce advice blog. Then she dropped the real reason for coming. "I'd like to request that you take down the video." I blinked. "What video?" Her jaw clenched slightly. "The cafe thing. The one your friend filmed. It's all over now. People are commenting awful things. It's damaging my reputation." I almost laughed. She was talking about damage? She built an entire audience on mocking me, on twisting me into this cardboard character, boring Harlan, emotionless Harlan, the guy who got dumped in a prank video and just took it. "That video wasn't mine," I said quietly. "I didn't post it. Jenna's the one who filmed it, remember? Funny how things get out of control once they're out in the open." She didn't like that. "I'm serious, Harlan. People are threatening me. I got a message yesterday that said I deserve to be left at the altar." "I left you at brunch," I replied deadpan. She didn't laugh. Neither did the mediator. For a brief moment, I thought she might cry. Her lip quivered. Her fingers tapped nervously on the table. I wanted to feel something, pity, closure, anything. But all I felt was tired. Then she said the words I wasn't expecting. "I didn't want you to leave." I stared at her. "Then why did you turn me into a punchline?" She shook her head, looking suddenly small. "I don't know. I thought you'd laugh. You used to laugh at everything. I guess I didn't realize how far you'd already gone." "Gone?" "Yeah, I had been gone for a while." She just didn't notice because she never looked close enough. When the meeting ended, she didn't say goodbye. Just stood, straightened her blazer, and walked out like someone who knew the cameras weren't rolling this time. And as I watched her leave again, I realized something brutal. She never really wanted me back. She just wanted the world to believe I was the one who messed up. I thought the hardest part was behind me. Signing the paperwork, sitting through her performance in that mediation room, watching her face twist when I didn't react the way she expected. But I underestimated her. Clara never liked unfinished stories. And in her mind, she wasn't the villain yet, just the misunderstood main character waiting for her redemption arc. A few days later, I started getting texts again. Not from her, at least not directly, but from mutual acquaintances. "Hey, man, just wanted to say I'm sorry things ended that way. If you ever want to talk, I'm around." Saw what Clara posted, brutal stuff. That last one made me pause. I clicked the profile someone screenshotted and saw it myself. Clara had uploaded a photo of us from 2 years ago, smiling at the beach, captioned, "You never forget your first heartbreak. Not everyone sees the full story, broken heart." Comments flooded in. People comforting her. One person even asked if I had been emotionally abusive because I always seemed so cold. I had to close the app before I screamed. Cold. I used to bring her coffee in bed. I used to rub her shoulders while she watched her shows. I used to write her stupid little notes before her interviews. "You're going to crush it today, see?" But none of that made it to her version of the story. I guess it's easier to say someone's cold when they stop letting you play with fire. What pushed me over the edge wasn't her post. It wasn't the comments. It was a message I got from a woman I'd never met. Her name was Ray. Said she was Trevor's ex, the shirtless guy Clara had accidentally texted. Ray had seen Clara's video, recognized her immediately. She told Trevor she was single, Ray wrote. Said her roommate was boring and wouldn't let her live. "I think that was you." There it was, in black and white. I stared at that message for a long time. It didn't hurt like it should have. It just made everything finally click into place. Clara wasn't just careless. She was calculated. She didn't just want to hurt me. She wanted to replace me. Make me invisible, a placeholder until someone better came along. But she miscalculated one thing. I was done being invisible. I responded to Ray. We talked. Compared timelines. The overlap was longer than I expected. And that's when I knew. The prank wasn't the betrayal. It was the cover-up. The real betrayal had been going on long before the camera was ever rolling. Ray didn't come with drama. She didn't seem like someone out for revenge. Her messages were quiet, factual, and painfully sincere. She didn't send screenshots right away. She asked if I wanted to see them. I told her yes, even though I already knew I'd regret it. There's a kind of masochism that comes with betrayal. You almost need to touch the flame to believe how badly it burned you. The first screenshot was a text from Clara to Trevor. Harlan wouldn't even notice if I disappeared for a week. He's basically a houseplant with a job. That one made me physically recoil. I could have handled flirtation. I could have swallowed an emotional affair, even. But that was something deeper. That was contempt. That was what she really thought of me. The next ones were worse. Photos, selfies, flirty texts, plans. She wasn't just talking to Trevor. She was seeing him. For months. While I was fixing the leaky sink, she was rehearsing her breakup prank. While I was grocery shopping, she was picking out wine for their Thursday night writing sessions. Ray and I spent an hour on the phone, comparing dates. And by the end, I knew what I had to do. No, not explode. Not yell. Not trash her online like she did to me. That would have been too easy. And too satisfying. I wanted something quieter. More surgical. I printed the screenshots. Bound them neatly. Labeled them by date. And then I drafted a single message to Clara. You're not the only one who kept receipts. They'll be forwarded to your attorney. Let's not drag this out any further. I didn't send it immediately. I waited until I was calm. Then I hit send. 10 minutes later, she called. I didn't answer. She texted 5 times. Still, I didn't reply. Then came the final message. Please don't do this. You'll ruin me. I stared at that sentence, and all I could think was, you ruined me a long time ago. I just didn't hit record. She thought this would be the part where I'd come crawling back. That I'd soften. But something in me had finally broken. Not the sad kind of break, but the kind where you stop pretending you're okay with being second best in your own life. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was release. The strange thing about healing is that it rarely comes with trumpets. There's no applause. No dramatic monologue. It just happens, quietly, in between moments you didn't know were important. Mine happened at a hardware store. I was buying light bulbs. Nothing poetic about it. But as I stood in that aisle, scrolling through my phone, I realized something. She hadn't messaged in 2 days. And I hadn't noticed. It hit me then. Not like a punch, but like a breath. I didn't need her apology anymore. I didn't need the validation, the revenge, or the perfect ending. I had survived it. Not unscarred, but stronger. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being the background character in my own life. 2 weeks later, the divorce finalized. Clean. Simple. She didn't fight it. I think she knew she couldn't. Ray sent me a final message just to say thank you for being decent. Funny how decency is considered rare now. We haven't talked since, and I think that's okay. Not every shared wound turns into a friendship. I started doing small things for myself. I got a dog bed for Milo that didn't smell like her perfume. I cleared out the closet and donated the clothes I hadn't worn in years. I even bought new bed sheets, bold ones. Mustard yellow. Clara would have hated them. That made me love them more. Last week, I laughed. Not a polite chuckle. A full, ugly, honest laugh. I can't even remember what triggered it. Maybe it was just the sound of my own thoughts finally quieting down. Clara once said I was too boring to be remembered. I used to believe her. But now, I know I was just too stable for someone addicted to chaos. She'll keep chasing noise. I'll keep building peace. And that, I've realized, is my happy ending. What moment in this story hit you hardest? Was it the prank, the silence, the envelope, or the light bulb aisle? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your take. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more powerful, real-life stories. Only here on Reddit Confessions.